Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture, and happy Easter everybody out there. Hope you're having a groovy day. That's just me putting that up on Twitter and then getting my phone out of the way. So what's happening? Don't expect to have a ton of people lurking around today, but I figured, what the heck? I wasn't sure I was going to even do a stream, but it was kind of chill around the house. We got the early morning Easter stuff. Had a little pastry from Yarsma Bakery in Pella, Iowa. They deliver. Dutch bakery. Awesome. Amazing. If you're ever going through Iowa for some reason, you want to go through Pella. You want to check it out. Beautiful little town. This bakery. Crazy, really good stuff, really affordable, and affordable enough that we actually have it delivered out here to Vegas every so often. So I had a little bit of pastry from them. My wife makes a little sort of like egg McMuffins, I guess you'd call them, for special occasions. So it was a nice morning. Speaking of my wife, there she is. Oh yeah, and she's got the wrench now. Yeah, just try to mess with this chat now. Captain Nemo. I probably shouldn't have said that. Now I will. Yeah, so I don't have a whole ton to talk about, but I thought, you know what? Let's bag and board some comics, because I was going to be doing that anyways, probably today, and maybe chat about a couple things going on in the world. A few new campaigns that are coming up that I saw. And so, oh wait, I'm doing that back. Am I doing that backwards? Yeah, I'm doing that backwards. Jeez, no wonder it wasn't working. So anyways, yeah, so I did make a comic store run yesterday and grabbed a few items. Mostly facsimile. I hit Cosmic Comics here in Las Vegas, Nevada. No, actually, it's Nevada. Don't say Nevada. If you want to blend in with the locals, we say Nevada, not Nevada. Look at that little bit of flash from back in the day. Yosemite Sam Bugs cartoon I hadn't seen. Oh, well, perfect. Leave it to me to go on a live stream. So anyways, though, Cosmic Comics, I got a dollar bin. I grabbed a few things out of there. A couple back issues of Justice League Europe that I needed. I'll show those off in a second. Some facsimile stuff. I did also pick up, just for the fun of it, Josie and the Pussycats Annual Spectacular. This is apparently just a one-shot book. I haven't done any Archie's type stuff for a while. It seemed like something fun to do. You gotta goof around every so often. Let's look at some of the stuff I picked up yesterday. Got some more Fantastic Four facsimiles. Facsimile 4. The Facsimile 4, this is issue 2, and I grabbed issue 4 because I already had one, and I picked up 3 from Alternate Reality Comics that I usually go to. And I was like, oh, 3? They must have done a 2 and a 4, right? So I found him at Cosmic. Good selection there. Grabbed a Tomb of Dracula, #1. Grabbed a Star Wars, #1. Superman. Because I collect a lot more Superman comics than I ever would have expected I would. A lot of times it's because they're in the 50-cent bin at Alternate Reality. And I just love reading comics. So if it's old and it's in the 50-cent bin, I'm there. But yeah, so now I'm kind of going, I think I'm collecting Superman. I don't know that I intended to. We got Batman with Poison Ivy, breaking up the duo, the dynamic duo. Got another Batman. I missed a few of these. I hadn't been into Cosmic for probably about a month. Right around there. Our Army at War, The Rock of Easy Company. Who could they be talking about? So some of the back issues that I grabbed, which I don't have to bag these, thankfully. Action Comics Weekly, The Secret Six. Grabbed some Silver Sables, which I had a couple of these back in the day. I've been collecting some of these. I found a few in the 50-cent bin over in Alternate Reality. So now I think I'm going for a run. Fun comics. Fun character. Let's see, what do we got? Number 22 and then number 24. There she is taking on the Beetle. I'm prepping a video now on Marvel Comics. Sort of like their output from the 70s into the early 80s, and how Marvel loved to pick up on fads. And what I always dig is, like, they not only pick up on fads, but they work them into the Marvel universe. So, you know, stuff like Dracula, Frankenstein, stuff like Dazzler, going off the disco thing, you know, US-1 for truckers, that kind of stuff. But they always incorporate it right into the Marvel universe, nice and tight. And that's one of the things I just love about the Marvel universe. Like, everybody they published was invited. Versus Wild Child. Wild Child is from the Alpha Flight comics. The Wolverine. I had never collected a lot of Wolverine, but again, old comic, dollar bin, why not? And these are a couple that I was aiming for. Some Justice League gear-ups that I was missing, because I'm going to be sort of working those in to the Justice League International videos. I don't know that I'm going to go through them like I do with the Justice League International ones, but I want to at least mention them in continuity, and they did cross over sometimes. So where it's a story crossing over, I'll definitely do it. So I'm like, with that in mind, you need to get a few more of these early issues because you don't have them. Anyhow, so but I got a bunch from the 50-cent bin over at Alternate Reality from back in the day that need some bagging and boarding, because, there's no comic book to me too cheap that it doesn't deserve to look its best. These Flash ones with Wally West are really the first Flash comics that I ever got. Because like I said, I started collecting like right after the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, I mean, I knew who Flash was from the old Super Friends like cartoons and stuff like that, but I'd never read any Barry Allen Flash, and certainly never read any Jay Garrick Flash from way back when. Here we got, I was just showing, well, no, I wasn't showing this one on Twitter. It was the other one, yeah. Firestorm I've been grabbing too. I wanted to try them out. And it's old-fashioned comic book superhero stuff. He has his personal problems that he's working through, difficulties in life, taking on supervillains. That to me is the thing that you're sometimes lacking now in the indie comics, the crowdfunding, which you can't fault them, because like you can't crowdfund a random issue of a comic book, where Super Dude is taking on Evil Man, just like a little one shot. Like, you do need to provide a bigger story. You need to provide generally a bigger book. You got to be getting into that 60 pages or so to kind of make the whole thing worth it. Now, Alterna Comics does the floppies, so they'll do multiple issues. King Cryptid, to me, is kind of like old school comics in that regard. Wolf and Batsy, that Brian Baugh's doing, is kind of like that too. There could be sort of multi-issue stories, but one-shots as well. So, I mean, you can do it, but it's a little bit trickier. But to me, it's like that's just foundational to superhero comics. And if you can't do that at all, then you're kind of losing a little something, part of that genre, you know? It's no complaint. It's just sort of like an artifact of how things have to be done, you know, when you have big comic book companies that aren't necessarily producing, you know, what a lot of people want. So they got to go somewhere else. And there you go. Let's look at a couple things here, though, while we're chatting. So we got some images, apparently, of Jason Momoa as Lobo. I think they did a pretty good job with Lobo there. He at least looks right. Some people were talking about the bike, but that it's supposed to be sort of the space bike, which is true. I don't know what the plan, though, is overall for the character. That could just be a scene. I think this is from the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, or what have you, which some people obviously dig, and I know some people didn't care for. I don't know that much about it. It's like after my time, one way or another. But I will say, look, they did a pretty good job, man. That pretty much looks like Lobo. If you're getting the look right, there's a good chance you're going to get the attitude right as well, and therefore get the character right, and it's going to be fun, which, you know, is really what we should be going for when we're doing superhero movies. Now, there was also a photo leaked out there, and it might not be genuine, of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. And it's like, well, I wouldn't know it was Dr. Doom if you didn't tell me it was Dr. Doom. So, points to Warner Brothers for Lobo. I'm afraid I'm going to have to take points away for that. Now, that might not have actually been a photo of him as a character, and I'm sure somebody's going to go, well, no, in the such and such series, you know, because now we have 8 million variations, 8 million little series of characters instead of just one damn universe. There was a version where he looked like, I guess, okay, fine. I'm old school. I want my Doctor Doom to look like old school Doctor Doom. I want it to look kind of like plate armor. I want the green hood cape tunic combo. That's what I want. If I don't get it, here's the thing. I do get it from old comic books. I don't need to go pay $40 or $50 to go see your movie to see your version of Doctor Doom. I don't want to see your version of Doctor Doom. I want to see the version of Doctor Doom. That's how it kind of goes. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a little cutthroat about these things. Now, I'm not saying anybody else shouldn't do it or go see it, or that you shouldn't do whatever you want to do with your movie. It's your damn movie. Have fun. Do whatever you want. I don't really care. That's kind of the point. But if you want my money, did I show this? I put it over here. Here we go. Avenger Spotlight. That's where Hawkeye's, there was like a contract put out on his arm by Crossfire that didn't work out well. Actually, both of the spotlights that I got were that basic storyline. So anyways, yeah, the thing with me is I don't feel the need to go see superhero movies because I like superheroes. I like superhero comics. If it looks like the movie is going to do honor to the comics and it's going to be a fun movie, then I'm down. I'm all good with that. There we go. So there we see. Poor little Hawkeye. But you know, the nice thing with this is he sort of gets back together with Mockingbird. That bugged the hell out of me when those two broke up in the comics. I'm an old romantic. What can I say? So, yeah, so like, it's the same with books. Like if I read a book and like it, oh, they're going to make a movie out of it. Okay. Does it look like it's going to actually be good and true to the book? Because if not, I don't care. Just slapping a title on something, it doesn't work for me. It's got to be the thing. I like comics not because I like the name Avengers. So I'll go to anything with Avengers on it. I like the particular Avengers. I like the particular storylines. I like the way the characters interact. You give me that, I might go watch it as a movie. If you say, we're going to give you our version of this, that's going to be very different from what you're used to, I don't care. The whole point of taking these IPs is the name recognition. And then if you go ahead and give us something completely contrary to what we know, what the hell's the point? What the hell is the point? Anyways, so, I pick and choose. So the Doctor Doom, I didn't really care for the look of the character. The Lobo, I like the look of it. And I don't know, man, maybe DC, if they pull it off with James Gunn and his little Superman and get the ball rolling right, and at least make something that's just fun to watch, where you're not getting preached at and everything, they could be taking out the Marvel Universe finally. They really could. I mean, with a lot of help from Marvel. That's for sure. Oh, yeah, there's the Doctor Doom thing. And it's just like, I guess, it just looks like every other sort of thing they do nowadays. Like brushed nickel. And I don't know, man. It's like, it's not terrible. It's not like they have him running around, in a tutu with a horned Viking helmet on or something, Sounds like something that would be in an Ace Ventura movie. But, so, I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't know. It's just sort of like, yeah, I guess. Whatever. All right. Also, before I get to him, I saw something that suggested some studios are thinking about releasing kind of collectible VHS tapes for new movie releases, kind of like the revival of vinyl records. Now, here's the thing, though. Like, vinyl records, in my opinion, are actually just better than CDs and streaming. Better sound, it's richer, it's fuller. The little cracks and pops here and there, not a problem. So that's an advantage to those that if we're honest, I love my VHS, but not really as good as DVDs, Blu-rays, and all that other stuff. But man, if it's movies I like and it's new VHS, I'll probably get them just to be doing it, just to support the concept. Here we go. Warlord Annual. This one is in rough shape, as you could tell. Like, oops, let me see. Yeah, that staple shouldn't be like next to the front cover there, should it? I think of it like it's like rescues, of animals that have been abandoned or abused or what have you. I like to rescue abandoned, abused comic books from the 70s, 80s, or whenever earlier is fine too. And give them a good home. Because like I said, I'm into comic books for the reading, not the collecting. That's why I don't run out and buy, 10 new issues of comic books that I'm never going to read just because I need to have them in my box somewhere. I'm reading these things. That's what I like. Got a little more Warlord. I definitely pick up Warlord whenever I can. But I don't, it's always very much at random. It's not like, I don't have, I think, a good run of Warlord. What I try to do when I'm pulling stuff out of 50-cent bins and all that, a lot of times it's sort of a chance to try something out. So it might be a book from back in the day that I always kind of wanted to read or was intrigued by, but didn't have the money. So 50 cents, like, dude, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, if you hate the thing, then I don't know, I'll just donate it to like Goodwill or Vietnam veterans or what have you. And if it is cool, okay, pick up a few more. And if I get to a certain point where it's like, well, I almost got to run together on this from this issue to this issue. Okay, maybe I'll try to fill those in. Maybe I'll actually go seek those out and try to fill that full little run and then kind of go from there. Where is a good retailer to get affordable bagging plastic wrappers? And, I have, I grabbed these off of Amazon. Let's see. Do I have I don't have here's the little thing from the bags. I get the Silver Age bags. Well, it's regular /silver, but the Silver Age books are a little bigger. 100 bags. I'm trying to think what I paid for these. But I've needed so many lately that I just re-up the order. So I'm like, I'm trying to remember. They're not real expensive though. It's a good price. So BCW, regular silver bags. And I want to say it might be the same company that does the boards. It might be. But a lot of times you'll see it like it'll come up on Amazon as, you pick the one thing and it'll say suggested. And so you could probably find it there. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm happy to help. But now this is like, I bought 100 bags, 100 boards. Because I got so many old comics that have needed this. And now I got ones they really need to be rebagged because the old bags are kind of nasty and they've been in it for a while. So, I've just been kind of going little by little. I think you can get them in smaller quantities too. Now, smaller quantity may be a little bit more per bag or per board, economies of scale. But yeah, check out Amazon. It's an easy way to go. I have also bought them off of Alterna Comics website, and their price is pretty good as well. And then you can go look at some of the Alterna comic books too. Let's see if there's any there that really float your boat. So new releases, new campaigns that have popped up in front of me eyes. This one, I'm showing it to you, and I think it might even be like sold out already. But it came up over the last week. This is McFarlane Toys, Bizarro, DC Classic Gold Label. Everything's got to be so complicated nowadays. It launched on April 15th. It might be out there. It is supposed to be, though, in stores in May. So if you missed the pre-order, you might still be able to pick that up. If you're into good old Bizarro. And who isn't? I mean, come on. It's a good guy. Oh, thank you. You like the Alpha Flight reviews? Yeah, I know those omnibuses, like they're always tempting to me because you get everything in one place. And then I'm going like, I guess this is stupid of me really, if you get down to it, but I go, I don't really have bookshelf space because these things are chunky. They're big. Like, these are like phone books, comic books. And then I think, well, I buy the individual comics because I could just put them in boxes. I could do that with the omnibuses too, technically. And I would probably be saving a lot of room. Like if you're talking about an omnibus that has 100 issues of a comic, it's going to take up a lot less space in that omnibus than I'm not always the most logical human being on earth. I'll admit it. I do love the old comics though so much. Now check this out. This is World's Most Dangerous Villains, Wanted. So this is like a reprint series. I'd never seen it before. The omnibuses. You could like kill somebody in a game of Clue with one of those. It was Colonel Mustard in the library with the omnibus. So these are reprints. This one has a Silver Age story, Green Lantern versus Dr. Light. And it has a Golden Age Doll Man story. the Dollman story is the one that I liked the best. And I'd never read any Dollman before. It was pretty good, but it shows an interesting thing about Silver and Golden Age, which do blend into one another a bit. But you go back just far enough in the Golden Age, there's like there's a body count going on in the Dollman story, which sounds kind of funny. This one's already bagged and boarded, Cordrath. It sounds funny because it's Dollman. That shouldn't really be that serious of a comic. And yet there's, straight up murder going on in that one. And a dude like in an iron mask. Great art though. So that's one that I'm going to look for. Oh yeah, I got 2 Cordraths. That's what I'm going to look for in the future. But very cool though. Enjoyed it. The Silver Age story was fine. It's kind of like, it's pretty typical of the DC Silver Age stuff. There's my Wolf and Batsy number 13. I showed that off a few episodes ago. Love the Wolf and Batsy. It's gory, it's gruesome, a little bit goofy, and a lot of fun. And I've been collecting all those. Brian Baugh, I had started following on Deviant Art. Anybody remember that site? It's still around. I haven't been on it for a long time. I used to go there a lot to find inspiration for my Land of Nod books that I wrote, which is like a D&D type campaign setting. It was really heavy on hex crawls, because what I wanted to do with it, besides just make a little campaign world, was kind of focus on like encounters so that people could buy issues of Nod, and even if they got their own campaign world or whatever they're doing, they could just grab stuff out of it, and put in their own. They wouldn't need to actually run what I was doing. So, I mean, in the average issue, oh my God, I'd have maybe like 1,000 different encounters that I'd have to come up with. Some are very simple, right? And on purpose. Like, you're walking through the woods and you find a tattered cloak hanging from a tree. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, well, that's something that a DM could use as a hook to do something else. It's something that could hook the players. Oh, what's this? It's got to mean something, and so you could kind of work with that. Sometimes you just do that little things, and then sometimes it'd be much more in depth. But a lot of it, I would get my inspiration just looking at art. So I'd go onto Tumblr. I had a few things that I followed, and some of it's classical and some of it's not. Like a lot of stuff I followed on Tumblr was just mid-century modern stuff because I love that design. And I'm scrolling through and I see some woman in a crazy looking dress from the 1960s, and it would spark something in my head and it would become some kind of encounter. It was almost like what are that? They call it free association, where you're looking at the ink blots, right? So DeviantArt and that I would do that on. And then DeviantArt also, I was looking for people who I could maybe commission for art, for things. And so I used to haunt that a bit. And Brian Baugh was one that I immediately clung to, which was funny because I'm just generally not into super like gory stuff. But it was it was gory, but it was kind of cartoony gory as well. So here I am years later, and it's like there's a Wolf and Batsy comic. And at the time it was published by Alterna. He's not anymore. Now he's doing it himself. Sista doing it for himself. And I was like, oh, dude, I should buy this. Like, I always liked his stuff, And they're fun comics. Highly recommended. Yeah, this is a team that it's hard to talk about on YouTube these days because it involves a word that they don't particularly like, which I understand. But on the other hand, you're going, If somebody out there is trying to talk prevention, that's a pretty good thing. If somebody out there is crying out for help, it's bad that they're in a position where they're reaching out, but it's good that they're reaching out. So should you be suppressing that kind of stuff? Artificial intelligence, I don't know, man. AI, algorithms, etc. all just comes down to me, I don't want to have to think, and I don't want to have to employ people to think. So let's just fake it and pass the buck. I know there's going to be good stuff that comes out of it too, but I think we're going to have a lot of bad stuff coming out of it. All right, so we got Bizarro there. No. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be in stores in May, dude. So it might still be within reach. It's possible. It's possible. Chamber of Chills facsimile slipcover editions, Volume 1 in June, 2 in July, 3 in August. Now, I don't know a ton about this one. I admit I am like somewhat out of the loop when it comes to horror comics. Partly because when I got into comics, it was like the mid 80s, like, right around 85, 86, I think. And you didn't have quite as many. Like, that wasn't the heyday for that kind of stuff. So I missed out. And, but I look back on stuff and I really dig it. Like, I had that facsimile I showed a little bit ago of Tomb of Dracula that I want to get into. And those can be hard to come by. That's for sure. Vince the Spook, he gets a lot of the Golden Age stuff. So he knows price wise. Here's a question annual that I got. Can I be completely honest? I really didn't like it. So, and I didn't care for the art, and the story was so-so. It did not do much for me. I want to say it's Denny O'Neil. It didn't do it for me. Although the back cover, oh, that brings me back. Oh, that brings me back. God, that was fun. Yeah. So, Question Annual is not going to probably hang out in my collection. So, yeah, I don't need to bag and board that one. However, this next one, which I'll show in a moment, will be hanging around in my collection for a while. But at any rate, so Chamber of Chills. So June, July, and August. Probably pretty cool, especially if it's stuff you already know. You might want to get those collections. Yeah, so check that out. Little Prince Valiant. Some reprints, some amazing stuff. All Harvey Horror is also free to read on Comic Book Plus. Well, there you go. Yeah, I know. And I just got to find like another 400 hours a day to read all the stuff that I want to read. Yeah, you're right. They did start going crazy with the annuals at a certain point, where it wasn't as special. But a lot of times, even when they were special, they were kind of odd. Like, I was usually more into just the month to month storylines going. And sometimes the annuals were cool. Like it was, like the special 2-part, episode of a TV show you liked or something. And sometimes it was like, well, that was interesting. I'm not sure what was happening there. I know time is what it's all about. I know that someday will be timeless, and I don't know if comic books will be there, but if they are, we'll be able to read them all and enjoy them all. And I look forward to that day. Well, sort of. I'm enjoying being alive on our very little flawed planet we have right now too. But so here's Power Pack. I'm starting to try to get into Power Pack, and it's one of those comics that like I avoided when I was younger because I'm a man. I don't want to be reading about no kids with superpowers. Come on. I want to read about Spider-Man and Punisher and all that. Now it's like, I want to check these out because I like a lot of the creative people that are involved in it. And it's pretty cool. It's different, man. It was an interesting thing for them to try. Quilted Comics re-releases in hardcover. Yeah. Nostalgia is costly. I have many shelves and boxes of comic books to prove it. And I am I'm a nostalgia addict in a way. I admit it. Like not in a bad way. I don't sacrifice the important things in life to this stuff. And it is a hobby. And I'm at a point now where I can afford this stuff and I don't go overly crazy on it. If you watch these, you know, I'm always looking for bargains, and kind of working my way that way. And if I splurge on anything, a lot of times now it's like indie creators, because I like to help folks who are starting out and trying to get things going and, you know, make their dreams come true. Oh yeah, Louise Simon. I love Louise Simonson. I love her. Well, I love her work. I don't know her personally, obviously. You know, Walt, I'm not. I swear, I didn't do anything. But yeah, so I'm like going. I loved what she did with New Mutants, and that was a lot of stuff I did collect back in the '80s. So I'm like, yeah, I got to try Power Pack out and give it a shot and see. This is an interesting one. It had Spidey in it. And they end up with like the Dragon Man, if you know that character. It's like kind of an android. They end up with him like hidden in the basement of their apartment building. So, you know, teach a man to collect comics until he broke the rest of his life. Yeah, I know. And it's not hard to learn how to collect comics, is it? If only it was a skill that was difficult to acquire. Yeah, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. I rarely go to that stuff. And we don't get as much of it in Vegas as you might think, being that we are like the convention trade show capital of the world. We truly are. I think we're like #1 trade show destination now for 29 years. But the weird thing with Vegas is because we are so set up for big trade shows, we don't do as well with little things. It can be a little too expensive. Now, I have heard, yeah, I know. And that's probably better that I don't go to a big con because who knows what I'd be walking out with. Although my wife will even tell you, I'm pretty good about putting things back or saying no. Like, I bought too much stuff at Cosmic Comics yesterday. I admit it. However, I passed up many things I wanted and even put a couple things back on the shelf and said, okay, no. If I'm going to get like Tomb of Dracula, I'm putting the Wonder Woman #1 back. I had that way back. It's George Perez. It's beautiful. But I'm like, no, I'm going to get Tomb of Dracula instead. So, I mean, oh yeah, I know, but I told you, I could have spent more money than I did. And by the way, she showed me some of this stuff too. She found all those Silver Sables. Power of the Atom with Hawkman and Hawkwoman. Yeah, that's a good point. Bargaining with people. It was the Dragon Man. That was Dragon Man, I think, was a special figurine. It's probably the one from like, God, when did that character show up? Was it like the 70s or 60s? He's like really big and he's an android. I think it was probably because if it was one of those like specials where you got to, you got to buy other figures to get pieces of and put together. Those are usually like big figures that they do that with. Which reminds me, we're still going through some of this stuff. Band of the Crow, Book 1, sign-up site is up now. I don't know much about it. It's a 60-color, full-page album. What I do know is that the art looked really, really, really lovely. and I have heard good things. So figured I'd at least sign up and see what it looks like when it comes up for. I don't know what it's going to be on, because their sign up page was not like at Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So I don't know if it's, well, actually, I don't even know if it's going to be like a crowdfunding thing, or if it's just going to go up for order. But figured I wanted to be alerted about it either way, because it's just really beautiful art. There's a few things out there like that now where, I mean, the art's just so good that you got to be at least a little bit interested in it. Okay. Oh, speaking of, Jeff Easley, huge in Dungeons & Dragons. Did I actually show that? I don't think I showed that. New Adventures of Superboy from the 1980s, reads like it's from the 1960s. 50-cent bin. I've been grabbing them. I don't know. I can certainly imagine someday maybe divesting myself of them, but for now, I'm having fun reading them. But Jeff Easley, the art of Jeff Easley. This is it's an ongoing Kickstarter, so you could jump in on this one right now. Dude was, I mean, kind of synonymous with Dungeons and Dragons back in the day. He did the when they did the sort of, well, they weren't really revised, but the new editions of Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, the Orange Spine books. He was doing the covers on those. Did tons of covers for like Dragon Magazine. He did a lot of the stuff for the Marvel Superheroes game, but just lovely stuff. Good memories. There's another Superboy where he's visiting some aliens. You can see there he is, alien girl down there. Another weird story. It's very Silver Age kind of stories is what they were going for there. And I dig them. They're fun. Silver Age comics to me are kind of like, I do that too, man. I mean, I don't haggle a lot. I look for bargains, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to have to, I don't know. I'm not good at confrontations, in all honesty. So Finsman, I do the same thing, right? Yeah, he's kind of like Jesco. Absolutely. He does. Yeah, man. D&D had some just incredible art, and honestly, third edition with Todd Lockwood had some awesome stuff. And I liked Wayne Reynolds too. It was a different style, but Wayne Reynolds had some cool stuff for sure as well. All right, now Supergirl, I just plain love, and this issue in particular. It was Carmen Infantino, and I can't remember now who was inking, but it was really nice art. It was really nice art. I say this all the time, but Infantino was so good at just drawing faces and people, and he knew how to stage a panel to make it interesting and dynamic, even if nothing really cool was happening. And I do notice that's a problem. The two problems I notice with a lot of modern comics, I'll go three. And I'm talking, these are artists who are extremely skilled, right? So that's not the problem. It's not just like, dude can't draw. A lot of them, they don't stage well. So they have panels where two people talking, and you have two faces like this talking to each other instead of person in the foreground, people in the background, right? That's an issue. And a lot of them too, great with superheroes in their poses, not as great with just normal people looking dynamic, right? And you go, a lot of these old artists, man, they did work for like, they might do work at some point in their lives for magazines doing like fashion art. So just a woman walking in, a skirt and a little ensemble, and you got to make it appealing to the eye. And they brought that into comic books, or they did a lot of romance comics, right? Where you got to do the same kind of stuff, because romance comics, I mean, as much as they have the, why has he left me kind of stuff, they're not dramatic like a war comic, like a horror comic, like a superhero comic. different kind of drama. Individuals, people, normal looking human beings. These guys brought that into their superhero work as well. And you don't get a lot of that nowadays. It's iffy. The other thing I notice is backgrounds that are very mechanical looking. Whereas they used to be kind of hand drawn, and now it feels like somebody just took something and just dropped it in, and it just doesn't blend well with the other action. And then the coloring in comics. This is something that I know we're supposed to have a lot wrong. Yeah, well, not talking about writing here, but yeah, over polished is a good way of putting it. You know, it's like the coloring, you do this sort of 3D coloring, which, you know, in and of itself is not necessarily bad, but the folks working in the pencils and the ink, they're already drawing it shadowing wise, cross-hatching wise in 3D. So the addition of 3D coloring can sometimes be too much. You don't need it. It gets in the way. It makes it harder to see the line work that I want to see from the artist. And sometimes the color choices don't tell the story very well. For example, in a lot of old books, you'll have somebody in the foreground, you know, colored realistically, flesh tone, brown hair, blue eyes, whatever. And then in the background, you have people just done like in a sort of pale yellow color for the whole thing. So you got the figures back there. And then maybe behind them, you see a cityscape that's just done in sort of blues, right? Now that's not realistic, but it brings the one person closer out. It puts the focus on them, etc. When you're doing the more fancy 3D sort of coloring, I think it's harder to color that way because it doesn't look realistic. They're going for greater realism, and in the process, they're falling down on telling the story, which is what comic book art is all about. I think a lot of these dudes, they get really good at drawing what we back in the day would just call pinups, you know, where it's just like an image of Superman looking amazing, you know, with an eagle on his arm or something like that. And it's like, okay, that's great. Pinups are awesome, but this is sequential art. And that's a whole other ball of wax. Almost forgot to show this again. Yeah, and the reason I like these is because these are two different Superman comics with a sort of similar look to them, with that computer screen, different eras too. This is old school Superman, and it had to do with a disease that apparently killed Ma and Pa Kent. And then Lois, and I think it was maybe Lana Lang, had it. And Supes was trying to figure out how to cure them because he'd already lost people to it. And I'm like going, is that where they introduced how Ma and Pa Kent died? Like I don't know what the actual story was on that, if that was already established or not. And then this one was Lex Luthor looking for Superman's, true identity, which is a kind of funny twist in it. And one thing I noticed, this is the John Byrne era. All the women working for him had the short skirts going. And I'm like going, oh, is that the origin of, what's your name, Mercy? In the Bruce Timm cartoon, his chauffeur with the real short skirt. Well, they kind of gave Lois a really short skirt too. I mean, when you're making cartoons and comics for guys, short skirts can be a reason enough in and of themselves. But I wondered if that was like a reference to Lex being kind of creepy. I don't know that Lex would have survived the Me Too era based on that comic book. He's managed to survive Superman all these years, but I don't know how good he would have done against that. This was cool. This was that Rampage character. I'd only seen her in some of the cartoons and didn't really know much about her. And I rather enjoyed seeing the actual character. All right. McFarlane is doing figures based on the new Superman movie. They're doing the sort of larger, I think, 7-inch size, and they're doing them in the superpowers size. Mr. Terrific, Superman, obviously Guy Gardner, Metamorpho, wearing like cargo shorts. The Metamorpho superpowers figure they did is really good. That one I'm not as big on. And then they're doing a Fortress of Solitude playset. Now, in all honesty, I am not really interested in owning any of these, but I thought it was kind of cool that they're doing them, that they're getting them out there, and at a $20 price point for those figures. Dare I say, some of these might actually get played with by children, and not just by us adult children, which honestly would fill my heart with much joy. Because as much as I love the collectible stuff, you're going, you know, these are supposed to be toys. Like, they're supposed to be played with by kids. You know, it's kind of the Toy Story 2 storyline, right? Dude, Sword of Sorcery. This is Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, drawn by Walt Simonson. Pretty damn cool. I got that in a 50-cent bin, and it's pretty ragged, so it was probably worth 50 cents, but I was just jazzed to get to read that one. So anyways, yeah, so McFarlane Superpowers, pretty cool. Yeah, Marvel Legends are pretty cool. I got a few of them. I got The Thing. I got the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel, because I was just always a fan of that character, and I always loved the design. I got the Japanese Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and I got the, and it wasn't easy, I got the TV one from the 70s ordered. So I go light on them because of all the Migos that I have. Like, you know, one does run out of room. This is one already bagged. Thor, I've been putting together the Walt Simonson run. I'm very close. I'm about maybe 5 issues away. Oh yeah, I open the boxes too, as anybody who watches this channel knows, because I like to display. There's some more Thor. He might have been one of my first favorite characters when I started collecting. And there's that perfect tin that I showed off a little while back. Awesome comics. Well, that's all that I had to bag and board for now. I mean, I got plenty more I need to bag and board, but it's all back in that closet there. All right, so what else do we have new? Tales to Inspire. It's a comic Kickstarter. It's live. It is a superhero anthology, 65 pages, with 4 characters. We got Paragon Prime by Ron Christian, Jared Brickley, and Facundo Moyano. We've got Rebound, which is kind of a Bronze Age sort of style hero, by Tyson J. Rock, Zilson Costa, and Bay Navarro. We've got Riserman, oh Lord, I sound like Spider-Man. Riserman, which I think is kind of like the like Common Rider sort of concept, by Stephen Kirkpatrick, Philippe Ondera, and Atomic Ranger. I have a feeling that's not his given name. And then a sort of cyberpunk character called Data Cell, by Chris Ville. So that's on Kickstarter now. It looked kind of intriguing to me. I like some of the character designs. I like the art. $15 for a 65-page book, so not terrible. You know, it's a pretty good price in this day and age. So there you go. That's about it in terms of new stuff that cropped up. So, how about new stuff that showed up in my office, my den? I got a hat from my barber, Cliff's Barber Corral and Wild West Spectacular. Dude, if you're ever in Vegas and you need a barber, go check out Cliff. He's actually, there are a couple YouTube videos of him. His barber shop is all Western stuff. And he has Westerns up on a big screen TV a lot too. Dude, man, he's a real old school barber. Great stuff. I went in yesterday because I needed a cut, like above Betty Boop. Yeah, she does. You're right. Hold on. Yeah, there's definitely a Betty Boop quality to her. That's cool. Yeah, so anyways, I went in for a haircut and he had hats. I was like, dude, I want a hat. And I had an extra 20, so I grabbed one. Really the only thing that showed up, this is from an auction. Oh, good. Oh, you have to fall off the stupid thing right when I grab you. Come on, man. I dig old Fisher-Price Adventure people. So I've been looking for the side hackers. These guys are determined to fall off of here. So I've been looking for the side hackers for a while. An auction came up that had those guys plus an extra figure, driver figure. Okay, fine. But here was the clincher. It had one of the gorillas. Bathe him in light. Oh. So how could I pass up side hackers and a gorilla? But it was like last day of the auction. It just happened to pop up in front of me. And it was going for like $15. So I'm like, let me give it a chance here. And I won it. So there you go. That's really the only kind of big delivery I had this week. And then obviously my chocolate bunny from my wife, dark chocolate. So that's about it. So we're getting about an hour here. Let's finish up with a couple quick movie reviews. Stuff that I watched over the last week. Let's Rock, 1958. Popped up on YouTube. I thought, what the heck? A lot of the rock and roll type musicals at the time, they're kind of goofy. They feel like adults trying to figure out what the teen culture is into, right? Hello there, fellow kids. This one, Easter dinner, dude. Get on that. Yeah, because you're on like East Coast, right? Or yeah, we're in Vegas, so it's like what is it? 11 a.m. here. Yeah. Have a blessed Easter, man. Enjoy dinner. Thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. So Let's Rock was pretty good. It actually was like, you got this guy who's a ballad singer, and his manager, played by Conrad Janis, is like, dude, you're going to have to start singing rock and roll. Like, that's where the money is now. No, I'm not a rock and roll singer. I don't want to do that stuff. He meets this girl who's a songwriter who wrote one of his songs that she's just starting out, and they kind of get a little thing going. And then his record company's going to drop him and all this stuff. So it gets a little dramatic, but it didn't do a lot of the stuff that I felt like would be cliched. There's some great music in it. You got, Della Reese does a song, kind of a torch song in it. You got some old rock and roll. You got, what's the one? We wear short shorts. How could I resist? So Let's Rock, actually pretty darn good. I enjoyed it. I finally watched the full Inhumanoids movie from 86. Man, that is like a fever dream. It was a little late for me in my youth, Inhumanoids, but I saw little bits and pieces of it, and I was always kind of intrigued. It was almost like Lovecraft for Saturday morning, especially with the Tindril character and the decomposed guy. But yeah, it was interesting. Interesting cartoon, but it felt like about 4 hours of material packed into about an hour and a half. It's like making a 30-minute version of Lord of the Rings, that'd be a little challenging. They were just moving so fast with stuff. And the one negative was a lot of the voices in it are kind of annoying. They don't lay lightly on the ear. So as a 50-something-year-old man in Humanoids, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more when I was 10. But I finally watched that. But this one, also from 1958, I've been wanting to watch this for a while. Colossus of New York. If you have not seen this sci-fi, give it a shot. It's a little low budget here and there. Has some pretty decent performances in it though, but it gets into topics that are very relevant in the AI, world of today. The concept of disembodied intelligence, intelligence without a soul, intelligence that can't feel or touch or really understand the world around it. It's all zeros and ones. So some interesting conversations in it about that, but also the sort of robot body in the thing that they put this man into. There's a whole bit where he's first kind of coming online and you see through his eyes, which is like kind of like a camera, like a video camera, with the static and then it coming, and you're going, man, that's a little bit reminiscent of RoboCop. Like, did that maybe inspire RoboCop a little bit? Oh yeah, the big Hollywood. I know, because a lot of the big Hollywood stars are actually not that good as actors, and you need character actors if you're doing cartoon voices, right? Brad Pitt's not a character actor. Brad Pitt just plays Brad Pitt most of the time, and maybe in a few things he has. But yeah, it's like if they're famous for their voice, they're probably not going to be very good at portraying a character. Whereas, well, there's any number of voice actors who do amazing stuff. But yeah, so Colossus of New York. So there's that. There's also when he's first trying to speak, and it's a sort of electronic, really weirdly modulated voice, and there's some really cool stuff. So it's only like about an hour and 8 minutes. It's a pretty quick movie. Again, it's got plenty of flaws in it. Absolutely has plenty of flaws. The ending could have been a lot better. It didn't seem to have, what happened at the end didn't seem to have the emotional impact on the people involved that it really should have. But there's also some really cool stuff in Colossus of New York. Really wish they could have had maybe either an extra 10 minutes, or there's also some padding in the film. And I wish they hadn't padded it, because there were some really interesting concepts they could have been knocking around instead of just a lot of him walking around, sometimes in fast motion, which was actually funny. But Colossus of New York, if you can find a copy, give it a try. It's actually pretty cool. So we are about an hour in here, a little over an hour. And it's Easter, so, we got to go hang out with the fam. But I thought since it was kind of slow, I'd pop in after all on this Sunday. I hope everybody has a wonderful, beautiful day. Whether you're a Christian or not. Obviously, if you're Christian, Easter, please enjoy it. Please think about what it all means. He is risen. Think about what that means for you. If you're not a Christian, well, just enjoy a nice day, hopefully a day off for you, and just, have some fun with friends and family, and just make it a good day one way or the other. So I'm going to head on out. We see the same Hollywood actors all the time. I don't think we need to also, and I don't see them all the time because I don't watch that much modern stuff, honestly. But I'm with you. I think if we had better actors, it wouldn't be that big a problem. I was kind of talking about that a few episodes ago. People complaining about Pedro Pascal being in everything, right? And I was going, I kind of remember when we used to sort of laugh about Gene Hackman and Michael Caine being in everything, but we weren't complaining because Gene Hackman and Michael Caine are really good. And I think the problem with Pedro Pascal being in everything is, he's kind of okay, I guess. I'm not that impressed. I know some people genuinely enjoy him, but I'm like, if he was a much better actor, I don't think we'd care that he was in everything. I think it'd be like, hey, awesome. But I think he has a lot of followers on like TikTok or something, and that's all that really matters in modern Hollywood. Okay, enough complaining from me on Easter Sunday. So, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun. I will hopefully see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.